Hi everyone, and thank you for stopping by. Today's video is going to be about 4 things that I feel like people in this world need to use a little bit more frequently. I'm sure that this is probably a classic example of preaching to the choir because I'm pretty sure that most, if not all of you, already use these 4 items. But there are definitely some people out there that didn't get the memo. And so I kind of feel like if we talk about it a little bit, then maybe we can get the word out there and we can make a change. At minimum, we can have some comic relief today as we talk about what's wrong with other people. Although they're not really like in front of us, so it's not really literally hurting their feelings. So that makes it okay, right? Anyway, so if you want to hear about my thoughts on the 4 things that people in this world need to use a little bit more frequently, then here we go. So the first thing that I want to talk about are these well, there happen to be Listerine, but portable breath mints. And they come in these little tiny containers that just fit right in your pocket. And these are in 3 different flavors: Cool Mint, Cool Heat, and Fresh Burst. And I think there's others out there. The reason I bring these up is because your breath travels, whether you realize it or not. And I mean coffee, onions, lack of toothpaste. And the reason we need to utilize breath mints a little bit more frequently is because it is just a courtesy of using the public space that is around you, because your breath travels from me to you and you to me across a distance that one would not expect. Ironically, we cannot oftentimes smell our own bad breath, even though it's right here underneath our nose. And so we may be thinking, oh yeah, everything is great, everything's fine, and yet we're putting out some really bad, like there would be cartoon fumes like coming out of your mouth. And so in a pinch, you can grab a little tiny breath mint strip and take care of the entire problem in a snap. I mean, these things are pretty cool because they're just like a meltable piece of paper, which they probably came up with this like NASA or something. I don't think that's true, but it seems like that would be exactly the kind of thing that they would create, like Tang. Anyway, these definitely need to make an appearance quite a bit more frequently, because even on the moment where you're like, well, I'm not even talking to anybody, I'm not even doing anything, I'm just running to town and I'm running back home and you know, whatever. On that random moment where you need to ask somebody for directions, for example, your breath could be so atrocious that you can't even trust the directions that they gave you. They may be like, wow, your breath is so awful, I'm going to purposely make you get lost. And you have no way to know until you're already lost. And so you see how critical it is to make sure that your breath smells really good. The next thing that I feel like people don't use frequently enough are turn signals. And the only thing that I can really think is that people are afraid that they're going to pull a senior moment. What do I mean? You know, like you see that car going down the highway for like miles and miles and miles, and they are like the entire time telling you they're gonna move into the right lane from the center lane, and you're like, you haven't done anything, what's going on? And that's because you've actually left your turn signal on because it didn't automatically cancel off. And so maybe now as a result, people just don't want to use turn signals. But turn signals actually are pretty beneficial, not just for other people, letting them know that you're trying to take an action or a turn there, but they're also pretty beneficial for you. What am I talking about? When you make a turn, and the reason we have you put on a turn signal for that reason is because your car is going to slow down. Whether you plan to make it slow down or not, you cannot take that turn at exactly the same speed as you were when you were going forward, unless you're driving 5 miles an hour, in which case you are a senior because there is no 5 mile an hour speed limit. Well, okay, there might be, but you know what I mean, generally speaking. So you're going to slow down. It's in your benefit to tell the person behind you that you're going to slow down because they do not want to wind up in your trunk. They did not get up that day and say, well, I've got to run to the grocery store and I'm going to get my nails done and I'm going to crawl into someone else's trunk. No, we want to make sure that they don't hit you as you're going to make your turn. And so you put on your turn signal, they're aware, they can slow down, you inevitably slow down, and nobody munches into each other. Turn signals for turning, look, it's inherent in the name. Put on your turn signal when you're going to turn so you can protect your own car and whatever, you know, jerk might be behind you who you don't even care about, but at least then you don't have to fight with them over the insurance company costs, you know. The other reason that turn signals are really important and really valid is when you're going to change lanes. Whether you're on a highway or a town road or whatever, you're going to go into someone else's space in that lane, and you're doing this at a forward movement of varying speeds. You need a little bit of coordination here. So putting on your turn signal and letting me know that you want to come over really just makes for nice merging, you know, every day, just on the general travels that people are on. Now, do not be one of those turn signal speeders. You know who you are. What am I talking about? You're in your lane and you see the guy over there or the gal over there puts on her turn signal. They want to come into your lane. So what's the first thing you do? You speed up in order to prevent them from coming into your lane. Why? Why? Why would you do this? Be courteous. Let them in, unless they're going 5 miles an hour and then now they're in front of you and now you're gonna be 10 minutes late for your appointment. No, you do not get right of way from your other lane, even with a turn signal on, if you're only going 5 miles an hour. So, if everybody just follows the basic rules of the road, we won't have that thing called road rage. When you wanna change lanes, put on your turn signal and make sure you're doing the speed limit. And if you see a lane changer, definitely don't speed up, because I might be trying to come into your lane and I ain't gonna back off. So something else that we don't use enough of is our own personal space. And in doing so, if you're not using your own personal space, then it's very likely that you're encroaching on someone else's, namely mine. And the reason I bring this one up is the other day I was at the post office and this woman in line behind me was actually so close to me that she kept nudging me repeatedly. You know, you let it go a couple of times and you're like, okay, they just must have made a mistake. They're going to adjust. She didn't, and she kept nudging me. Now, quite frankly, I was too stubborn to move out of the way because anyway, that was my personal space and I wasn't going to give it up. She was coming into my personal space. And so my options at that point were to turn around and be like, will you stop touching me? Yeah, that's kind of ineffective. What I actually should have said is, listen, lady, back up off me or we're gonna throw this down right now. Oh my God, can you imagine me actually saying that? Oh my God, that would be so embarrassing. But the point is that I shouldn't have to ask for it. When it comes to personal space, you know, there's a general area around you that someone else should not be entering. Common courtesy. You should not be standing so close to me that you could tell the size of my pores, which, by the way, my pores are so large that you could tell the size of them from across the room, but that's neither here nor there. You should not be able to tell the size of my pores. You should not be able to count the number of freckles on my face, nor should you be able to tell whether or not I have dandruff. We all have our own healthy space that exists around us, as if it were like a bubble. And if you're unsure as to whether or not you are invading someone else's bubble, then you're definitely too close and you need to back up. The last thing that I want to talk about that I feel like people don't use frequently enough is cuticle oil. How random is that, right? Let me tell you how important, at least I personally feel like it is. Cuticle oil sold in little bottles labeled cuticle oil. Mine look awful, but it's because I use them. And this is by Sally Hansen. I have one everywhere, like in my house, in the bathroom, next to my bed, and I've even got one with a little brush in. I don't even know where the top is actually, which could be a problem, especially now that I'm going to randomly sit this back down on the table, but that I just have for easy access so that I can use it all the time. If you don't want to use cuticle oil, you can use coconut oil. Is that not the most awesomely large bottle of coconut oil that you've ever seen? Coconut oil right now is all the rage. It does everything from like babysit your kids and do your laundry and moisturize your face, which is so fabulous, right? Anyway, cuticle oil works just as well. It goes onto your cuticles kind of in the, I don't want to say gel, a dry-like consistency, and then as your body temperature warms it up, it lubricates into an oil-like consistency and just works wonders for your cuticles. See, because lotion is good in a pinch, but lotion doesn't really attack your cuticles as well as an oil-based kind of oily liquid will. And then sometimes the lotion like puts a white ring around your cuticle because you can't quite blend it in and it gets in the little crevice. It's gross. Okay. And so finally, if you don't have coconut oil and you don't have cuticle oil, I'm sure that everybody has olive oil. I don't care what kind of oil you use. Any kind of oil will make your cuticles go from looking nasty to looking like gorgeous, like you just came out of getting, like you just came out of a manicure. Came out of a manicure? Like you just had a manicure. That also, by the way, was like the largest bottle of olive oil ever. Anyway, why do I bring this up? Well, I had actually an awful experience. I was at a cosmetics counter in a store, a very lovely store, and the sales associate behind the counter started showing me products, and she had the I can't even think about it. She had the cuticles. It looks like her cuticles were all dead. It was gross. I don't even think you could recreate for a movie cuticles that looked as bad as that. I mean, they were just dry and cracking and peeling, and it was gross. And the reality is, we talk with our hands, we eat with our hands, and we interact with other people with our hands, like at a cosmetics counter, or when you are purchasing something at a register, you're signing your credit card receipt, you're handing money to somebody. Your hands are always making an appearance. And basically, it's kind of like your face. Your hands are the second thing that people meet about you. You know how they say your eyes are the window to the soul? Well, your hands and your cuticles are the windows to your personal level of hygiene. And nobody wants to encounter gross, scaly, peeling looking cuticles. Oh, well, it's gross. I can't even think about it. So cuticle oil. Definitely do not say no to moisturizing your cuticles with some kind of an oil-like substance. I don't care. Whatever. Just use something, please. So I wanted to thank you for watching and thank you for stopping by. Please do all of those typical YouTube things. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe if you think I'm even slightly entertaining. Please let me know in the comments below something that you think that people should be using more frequently. I would love to read those. I hope you had a good time today. I know that I did. And until next time, thanks so much.